Captain Jack Miller walked onto the bridge of the USS Retribution. The metal floor echoed with each step. He had commanded this ship for 5 years, but today felt different. Today, everything would change. The crew turned as he entered. Lieutenant Amy Foster stood at her station, her fingers moving across the control panel. Commander Paul Grant looked up from his tactical display, his face serious. "Status report," Jack said, taking his captain's chair. "All systems ready, sir," Amy replied. "The Zolonian fleet has entered our sector." Jack nodded. For 300 years, humans had lived in peace with alien species. They had traded, shared technology, and built friendships across the stars. But the Zolonian Empire wanted more. They wanted Earth. "They think we're weak," Paul said, reading the latest intelligence report. "Their emperor called us soft traders who forgot how to fight." Jack almost smiled. If only they knew the truth. Earth had never forgotten how to fight. They had simply chosen not to. Hidden in secret vaults beneath Earth's surface lay weapons that could destroy entire worlds. Weapons that humanity hoped never to use. "Sir, incoming. Message from Earth Command," announced Steve Morgan, the communications officer. His young face showed worry. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life. Admiral Helen Black appeared, her gray hair pulled back tight. Her eyes held no warmth. "Captain Miller, the time for diplomacy has ended. The Zolonians have destroyed 3 of our colonies. 10 million humans are dead." She paused. "Authorization code Omega 77. You are cleared to activate the World Breaker. Protocol." The bridge fell silent. Every crew member knew what this meant. For centuries, these weapons had remained locked away, a dark secret of humanity's past. "Understood, Admiral," Jack replied. His voice stayed calm, but his hands gripped the armrests tighter. The screen went dark. Jack stood and walked to the center of the bridge. His crew watched him, waiting. "I won't lie to you," he began. "What we're about to do will change everything. The galaxy thinks humans are peaceful merchants. They're about to learn why our ancestors were feared across the stars." He turned to his weapons officer, Tony Baker. The man had served with Jack for 3 years. He was good at his job. Too good. "Tony, begin World Breaker activation sequence." Tony's hands moved to a sealed panel on his console. He entered a long code, and the panel slid open. Inside lay a single red button, covered by a clear case. "Sir, World Breaker systems coming online," Tony reported. "Hull transformation beginning." The ship shuddered. Outside, the USS Retribution began to change. Panels shifted and moved. Hidden weapons emerged from the hull. What had looked like a simple cargo vessel transformed into something terrible. Energy arrays the size of buildings extended from the ship's sides, targeting systems that could lock onto planets from across solar systems powered up. Dr. Lisa Park, the chief engineer, monitored the transformation from her station. Power core operating at maximum efficiency, all weapon systems green. Jack returned to his chair. On the main screen, he could see the Zolonian homeworld in the distance. Zelon Prime, a beautiful planet of blue oceans and green continents. "Home to 15 billion Zolonians. Sir, we're receiving multiple signals from Zelon Prime," Steve said. "They're demanding our surrender." No response, Jack ordered. He knew what had to happen next. The Zolonians had killed millions of humans. They had laughed at Earth's warnings. Now they would learn why humans had hidden their true power. "Enemy fleet approaching," Paul reported. 50 warships. They're forming attack formation. The Zolonian ships were impressive. Each one bristled with weapons. Their shields glowed with power. Any normal Earth vessel would have been destroyed in seconds, but the USS Retribution was not a normal vessel. "Target locked on Zelon Prime," Tony announced. His voice shook slightly. He understood what he was about to do. Jack stood again. This moment would define humanity's future. For 3 centuries they had been peaceful. They had helped other species. They had shared their knowledge. And how had the galaxy repaid them? With death and war. "All hands, this is the captain." Jack spoke into the ship-wide communication system. Today we show the galaxy humanity's true face. We tried peace. We tried friendship. The Zolonians chose war. Now they will face the consequences. He looked at each of his bridge crew. Amy Foster, only 25 years old on her first deep space assignment. Paul Grant, his trusted friend and advisor. Steve Morgan, fresh from the academy. Tony Baker, about to become the man who fired the first world breaker. Lisa Park, whose engines would power the destruction. May God forgive us, Jack whispered. Then louder. Tony, you have permission to fire. Tony's hand moved to the red button. He pressed it. The USS Retribution's hull glowed with blinding light. Energy surged through the weapon arrays. A beam of pure antimatter, focused and amplified beyond anything the galaxy had seen, shot toward Xelon Prime. The Zolonian fleet tried to intercept. Their weapons fired desperately at the beam. It was like trying to stop a star with a candle. The beam passed through their ships as if they weren't there. When it struck Xelon Prime, the planet's fate was sealed. The antimatter beam penetrated deep into the planet's core. Chain reactions began immediately. Massive earthquakes shook the surface. Oceans boiled. The atmosphere caught fire. Impact confirmed, Tony reported. His face had gone pale. Planetary destruction in progress. On the screen, they watched Xelon Prime die. Cities vanished in walls of fire. Mountains crumbled. The planet's crust cracked like an egg. Within hours, what had been a living world became a ball of molten rock. The Zolonian fleet stopped firing. They stared at their dying homeworld, unable to believe what they were seeing. Some tried to flee. Others simply drifted. Their crews, too, shocked to act. Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from all Zolonian ships, Steve said quietly. Jack sat back in his chair. He felt no joy, no satisfaction, only a heavy weight in his chest. Accept their surrender. Then send this message to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Humanity is done being victims. Attack us again, and you will share Xelon Prime's fate. As the message went out, Jack knew everything had changed. The peaceful merchants were gone. In their place stood something the galaxy had forgotten, the warriors who had once conquered the stars. The age of human mercy had ended. The age of human power had begun. 3 days had passed since Xelon Prime died. The USS Retribution drifted in space, its crew struggling with what they had done. Captain Jack Miller stood in his ready room, staring at the reports on his desk. 15 billion lives, gone in hours. The numbers felt unreal. A knock came at his door. Enter. Commander Paul Grant walked in holding a data pad. His usually confident face showed doubt. Sir, we've received new orders from Earth Command. Jack took the pad and read. His jaw tightened. The Crevarian Confederacy has declared war on Earth. They say we're monsters who must be stopped. They've formed an alliance with 12 other species, Paul added. They're calling it the Coalition Against Human Tyranny. Jack set down the pad. He had known this would happen. One destroyed planet wouldn't end the war. It would only make others afraid, and fear made people do stupid things. Gather the senior staff, Jack ordered. Meeting in 10 minutes. Soon, his officers sat around the conference table. Amy Foster studied star charts. Tony Baker cleaned his glasses nervously. Lisa Park ran diagnostics on her tablet. Steve Morgan monitored communications. Dr. John Davis, the ship's medical officer, looked troubled. The situation has escalated, Jack began. 13 species have united against Earth. They have over 1,000 warships. 1,000 ships against one? Amy asked. Even with our weapons, those aren't good odds, Jack smiled grimly. Who said we're alone? He activated the wall screen. 5 ships appeared, exact copies of the USS Retribution. Meet our sister ships, Jack said. The USS Vengeance, commanded by Captain Mike Johnson. The USS Judgment under Captain Laura White. The USS Wrath, led by Captain Bill Harris. The USS Fury, commanded by Captain Susan Lee. And the USS Doom under Captain George Brown. The room fell silent. 6 world breaker ships. 6 weapons that could destroy planets. Earth has been busy, Lisa whispered. For 300 years we've built these in secret, Jack explained. While we traded and smiled, we prepared for this day. The day when the galaxy turned against us. Dr. Davis spoke up. Captain, I have to ask, is this right? We're talking about destroying entire worlds, billions of lives. Jack met the doctor's eyes. They declared war on us, Doctor. They killed our people. They united to destroy Earth. What would you have us do? Surrender? Let them kill more humans? But there must be innocent people on those worlds, Davis argued. Children who had no part in this decision. The room grew tense. Everyone knew Davis was right. But they also knew the alternative. Doctor, Paul said quietly, 10 million humans died in the colony attacks, children included. The galaxy has made its choice. Jack stood. We have our orders. The Coalition is gathering their fleet near Kravar, the Kravarian homeworld. We'll strike before they can attack Earth. He looked at each officer. I won't force anyone to participate. If you want transfer, speak now. No one moved. Even Dr. Davis remained seated, though his face showed pain. Very well, battle stations. The Retribution jumped to hyperspace, joining the other 5 Worldbreaker ships. They emerged at the edge of the Kravarian system. Ahead, the Coalition fleet waited, over 1,000 ships from 13 species, ready for battle. Sir, they're hailing us, Steve reported. Put it through. A reptilian face appeared on screen. Supreme Commander Vex of the Kravarian military. His yellow eyes burned with hatred. Humans, he hissed. You destroyed Xelon Prime. You murdered billions. The galaxy will not stand for this evil. Jack stood straight. You attacked our colonies. You killed our people. We defended ourselves. Defended? Vex laughed. You turned a planet to ash. You are monsters. No, Jack replied coldly. We are humans, and you made a mistake. You united against us. You gathered your fleets. You thought numbers would save you. He nodded to Tony. You were wrong. The 6 Worldbreaker ships spread out. Their hulls transformed, weapons arrays extending. The Coalition fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles filled space. The Worldbreaker shields held. The weapons that could crack moons bounced off like rain. All ships, target the populated worlds, Jack ordered. Fire when ready. 6 beams of antimatter lanced. Out, not at the fleet but past it. Toward the 13 homeworlds of the Coalition. Vex's eyes widened in horror as he understood. No, you can't. There are billions of innocents. You should have thought of that before declaring war, Jack said. The beams struck their targets. Kravar, the desert world of the Kravarians. Cessus, the water planet of the Aquatic Union. Grix, the jungle home of the insectoid hive. One by one, 13 worlds began to die. The Coalition fleet scattered. Some tried to pursue the beams, to somehow stop them. Others fled in panic. Many simply drifted, their crews watching their homeworlds burn. On the Retribution's bridge, the crew worked. In silence, Tony fired the weapons. Amy tracked the targets. Lisa kept the power flowing. Steve monitored the enemy communications. Screams, pleas, curses in a dozen languages. Planetary destruction confirmed on all targets, Paul reported after 6 hours. 13 worlds gone. Jack felt no victory, only grim necessity. Send this message to every remaining ship. Your worlds are dead because your leaders chose war with humanity. Surrender now, or we will hunt down every colony, every outpost, every ship you have. The choice is yours. The responses came quickly. Ship after ship surrendered. Some captains cried. Others begged for mercy. A few chose to self-destruct rather than live with the shame. Dr. Davis approached Jack. Captain, I've been monitoring the crew's mental state. This is taking a toll on everyone. Jack nodded. I know, Doctor. But we do what we must to protect Earth. At what cost? Davis asked. We've become the monsters they said we were. No, Jack replied. We've become what we always were. We just stopped hiding it. As the Retribution and her sister ships collected, The surrendered vessels. Jack knew the war was far from over. The galaxy would remember this day, the day 13 worlds died, the day humanity showed its true power, and in the depths of space other species watched and wondered, who would be next? The age of human mercy was truly dead. In its place stood something terrible and unstoppable. The galaxy had awakened the sleeping giant, and now it would pay the price. 2 weeks after the coalition fell, the USS Retribution floated near the ruins of Kravar. Captain Jack Miller watched the broken planet on the main screen. Once a golden desert world, now just cooling chunks of rock. "Captain, we have movement. On sensors," Lieutenant Amy Foster announced. 3 ships approaching from hyperspace. Jack straightened in his chair. "Coalition survivors?" "No, sir. These are different." The ships emerged from hyperspace. They were unlike anything Jack had seen. Smooth silver hulls with no visible weapons. They moved like living things, graceful and fluid. "They're hailing us," Steve Morgan said from communications. "Put it through." The screen filled with a face that made the crew gasp. The being looked almost human, but with silver skin and eyes that held stars. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes. "I am Ambassador Zara of the Ancient Ones. We have watched from the shadows for millennia. Now we must speak." Jack stood. The Ancient Ones were legends, stories told by drunk traders in spaceports, the first intelligent species in the galaxy, who had vanished eons ago. "We thought you were myths," Jack said. Zara's starry eyes showed sadness. "We chose to hide when younger species began to spread. We hoped you would learn peace on your own. We were wrong." "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from their ships," Tony Baker whispered. "Far beyond anything we have." Jack nodded, slightly. If the Ancient Ones wanted to destroy them, they probably could. "Why reveal yourselves now?" Jack asked. "Because humanity has changed the game," Zara replied. "You have shown power that threatens the galaxy's balance. We offer you a choice." The screen split. On one side remained Zara, on the other appeared a star map of the galaxy. Hundreds of systems glowed red. "These are the worlds that plot against Earth," Zara explained. "Even now they build weapons to match your world breakers. In 5 years they will attack." Commander Paul Grant leaned forward. "How many species?" 47. "They call themselves the Last Alliance. They believe humanity must be destroyed before you destroy them." Jack felt tired. More war. More death. When would it end? "You mentioned a choice," he said. Zara nodded. "We can give you the locations of all their weapons facilities. You can strike first, destroy their ability to threaten Earth. Or we can hide your world. Move Earth to a pocket dimension where no one can find it. Humanity would be safe, but isolated forever." The bridge fell silent. Safety through isolation, or survival through more destruction. "There's a third option," Zara continued. "We can elevate humanity, make you like us. You would gain power beyond imagination, but lose your humanity in the process." Dr. John Davis stepped forward. "What do you mean, lose our humanity?" "You would become energy beings. No more physical forms, no more human emotions, pure logic and power." Jack looked at his crew. Young faces filled with doubt and fear. They had already paid a heavy price. How much more could they sacrifice? "We need time to think," Jack said. "You have 1 day," Zara replied. "The Last Alliance moves quickly." The Ancient Ones' ships vanished, leaving the Retribution alone with the ghosts of dead worlds. Jack called a meeting of all 6 Worldbreaker captains. Their holograms filled the conference room. Mike Johnson looked angry. Laura White seemed thoughtful. Bill Harris paced nervously. Susan Lee studied data. George Brown sat silent. "Earth Command wants us to take the target list," Mike said. "Strike first, ask questions later." "More genocide," Laura countered. "How many worlds must die?" "As many as it takes," Bill replied. "They want to destroy Earth. We can't let that happen." Susan looked up from her data pad. The numbers don't lie. 47 species, each with multiple worlds. We're talking about hundreds of planets. The isolation option protects Earth, George finally spoke. No more killing. But we lose the stars, Jack said. Humanity becomes a prisoner in its own home. They argued for hours. Each option had terrible costs. More destruction, eternal isolation, or losing their very humanity. Dr. Davis entered with medical reports. I've been monitoring our crew's psychological states. The guilt is destroying them. Suicide rates are climbing. That settled it for Jack. His people were breaking. They couldn't handle more genocide. I've made my decision, he announced. The next day, Zara returned. The alien's silver face showed no emotion as Jack spoke. We'll take option 2. Hide Earth. Save our world without more killing. Zara tilted its head. An unexpected choice. Most species choose power or war. We're tired of death, Jack replied. Our souls can't bear more. Very well. But know this? Once hidden, Earth can never return. Your colonies in space must choose. Join Earth in isolation or remain in the galaxy alone. Jack nodded. He had already sent messages to every human colony. Most chose isolation with Earth. A few decided to stay to keep humanity's presence in the stars. The ancient ones worked their impossible science. Space around Earth bent and twisted. The solar system faded from the galaxy, sliding into a pocket dimension where no enemy could follow. As Earth vanished, Jack sent one final message to the galaxy. Humanity chooses exile over extinction. We destroyed worlds to protect ourselves, but the cost was too high. Our weapons broke planets, but they also broke us. We leave you, the stars. Do better than we did. The world-breaker ships followed Earth into isolation. Their planet-killing weapons powered down forever. In the hidden dimension, humanity began to rebuild, to heal from the scars of war. The galaxy remembered the brief, terrible time when humans showed their true power. 13 dead worlds stood as eternal monuments to humanity's wrath, but also to their final choice, to step away rather than become monsters. Some called them cowards. Others called them wise, but all agreed on one thing. The sleeping giant had awakened, shown its terrible strength, then chosen to sleep again. And in the depths of space, alien children heard bedtime stories of the humans who could destroy worlds, but chose to disappear instead. A legend, a warning, a message. 5 years had passed since Earth vanished into its pocket dimension. In the hidden realm, humanity rebuilt their world, trying to forget the horrors of war. But the galaxy had not forgotten them. Captain Jack Miller, now Admiral, stood on Luna, base watching Earth spin peacefully below. The moon had been brought into the pocket dimension too, along with Mars and the outer colonies that chose isolation. Admiral, we have a problem. Commander Paul Grant entered the observation deck. His face showed worry. Jack turned. What kind of problem? The dimensional barriers are weakening. Something is trying to break through. They rushed to the command center. On the screens, energy readings spiked wildly. The pocket dimensions, walls flickered like a failing light bulb. It's not natural decay, reported Dr. Lisa Park, now Chief Science Officer. Someone is attacking the barriers from outside. Jack's blood ran cold. The last alliance, they found us. Amy Foster, promoted to captain of the USS Retribution, appeared on the communication screen. Admiral, all 6 Worldbreaker ships are detecting the same thing. Multiple breaches forming. How is this possible? Jack demanded. The Ancient Ones said we'd be safe. They lied, said a familiar voice. Everyone turned. Tony Baker stood in the doorway, but his eyes glowed with silver light. He smiled, but it wasn't his smile. The Ancient Ones didn't save you, Tony, Zara said. They trapped you. A perfect prison for the galaxy's most dangerous species. Paul drew his weapon. You're not Tony. Tony is here, sleeping in his own mind, the entity replied. I am Zara. We needed agents among you, so we planted ourselves in your crews 5 years ago. Jack felt rage building. Why? We chose peace. We chose isolation. Because you would have chosen differently, Zara explained. The last alliance wasn't 47 species, it was 400. Every sentient race in the galaxy united against you, even your former allies. The screens flickered, showing massive fleets gathering around the dimensional tiers. Thousands upon thousands of ships. They're coming to finish what they started, Zara continued, to ensure humanity never threatens them again. You could have told us the truth, Jack said bitterly. Would you have chosen exile knowing the entire galaxy wanted you dead? No. You would have used your weapons, destroyed everything. We prevented galactic extinction. The dimension barriers shattered. Reality tore open like paper. Enemy ships poured through, weapons charging. All ships, battle stations, Jack commanded. The 6 world breakers powered up their dormant weapons. 5 years of peace ended in seconds, but something was wrong. The planet killer weapons wouldn't fire. The Ancient Ones sabotaged our systems, Lisa reported. Weapon arrays are locked. Jack understood now. They had been played, manipulated into a trap. The galaxy's greatest threat, contained and now defenseless. Admiral, incoming message from the enemy fleet, Steve Morgan announced. An insectoid face appeared on screen. Admiral, Crix of the Hive Collective. Humans. Your reign of terror ends today. You destroyed 13 worlds. Murdered billions. The galaxy demands justice. We chose exile, Jack protested. We left you in peace. There can be no peace while you exist, Crix replied. Your weapons may sleep, but you could wake them. You are too dangerous to live. The first wave attacked. Without their planet killers, the world breakers fought with conventional weapons. They were still formidable, but vastly outnumbered. Sir, we can't hold them, Amy reported as the retribution took heavy fire. Shields at 30%. Jack watched Earth's defenses crumble. After everything they had sacrificed, it would end like this. Betrayed, trapped, and overwhelmed. Then Dr. John Davis spoke. There is another way. Everyone looked at the doctor. He had aged in 5 years, his hair gray, his face lined with guilt. The Ancient Ones locked our planet killers. Davis explained. But they didn't know about the Genesis Protocol. Jack frowned. That's a myth. A doomsday weapon that never existed. It exists, Davis said quietly. I helped design it. A weapon that doesn't destroy planets. It transforms them. Turns dead worlds into living ones. How does that help us? Paul demanded. Davis smiled sadly. Because it can work in reverse. Turn living beings into base atoms, not just on planets, everywhere within range. Understanding dawned on Jack. A weapon that could unmake life itself. The range? He asked. With all 6 ships linked, the entire galaxy. Silence fell. The ultimate weapon. Not planet-killing, but life-ending. Everything would die. Enemy and human alike. We'd be committing suicide, Amy said over the comm. Along with every living thing, Jack added. The complete extinction of all life. The enemy fleet pressed closer. Earth's shields began to fail. Cities burned as energy beams struck the surface. Jack looked at his people. Put it to a vote. All crews, all colonists. Do we use Genesis? The vote took 60 seconds. The result was unanimous. Yes. Humanity chose mutual extinction over defeat. Forgive us, Jack whispered as the 6 ships linked their power cores. Forgive us all. The Genesis Protocol activated. A wave of pure creation energy, reversed into destruction, spread from the human ships. It touched the enemy fleet first. Beings dissolved into atoms, their ships crumbling to dust. The wave expanded. System by system, the galaxy died. Planets full of life became barren rocks. Space stations turned to floating powder. In minutes, trillions of lives ended. The Ancient Ones tried to stop it. Their great ships appeared, silver and beautiful. They lasted seconds before dissolving. As the wave reached Earth, Jack felt peace. Humanity would die, but so would their enemies. The galaxy had united to destroy them. Now they would all face extinction together. Any regrets? Paul asked as their bodies began to fade. Jack smiled. No. They wanted to see humanity's true power. Now they have. The last thing Jack saw was Earth dissolving into stardust. The blue marble became atoms joining the cosmic dust that had once been a living galaxy. When it ended, silence filled the universe. Where billions of stars had hosted life, now only empty worlds remained. The great civilizations, the ancient races, the young species just learning to fly, all gone. Humanity's final message was written in the death of everything. They had warned the galaxy. They had chosen peace. But when cornered, when betrayed, when faced with extinction, they chose to take everyone with them. The age of life in the galaxy ended. And in the empty darkness, only atoms remained to tell the story of the species that could destroy worlds and did. 1,000 years passed in the empty galaxy. Stars burned on, but no eyes watched them. Planets spun in silence, holding only the dust of dead civilizations. Then something stirred. On a small moon orbiting a gas giant, atoms began to move. They gathered, joined, and formed patterns. Slowly, impossibly, life returned. The first to wake was Admiral Jack Miller. His eyes opened to stars he thought he'd never see again. His body felt strange, different, but whole. How? He whispered. The Genesis protocol had a failsafe, said a voice. Jack turned. Dr. John Davis stood beside him, looking exactly as he had at the moment of death. I couldn't create a pure weapon of destruction, Davis explained. Genesis was designed to preserve and restore. When reversed, it stored genetic patterns of everything it destroyed. After 1,000 years, the reversal reversed itself. Around them, others began to wake. Amy Foster, Paul Grant, the crews of all 6 Worldbreaker ships, but they were alone on the empty moon. Where is everyone else? Jack asked. The aliens. Earth? Davis looked sad. The protocol needed a focal point to begin restoration. It chose us, the ones who activated it. We're the first. The rest will take time. Jack understood. They were alone in a galaxy of the dead, tasked with bringing life back. Over the following years they worked. The Worldbreaker ships, somehow restored as well, became tools of creation. Their planet-killer weapons were reconfigured, spreading Genesis energy to dead worlds. Earth reformed first. Atoms assembled into oceans, continents, and atmosphere. Then came the cities, rebuilt exactly as they were. Finally, humans began to wake, confused, frightened, but alive. We died. People said. How are we here? Second chances, Jack explained to the growing crowds. For everyone. As humanity restored, they faced a choice. They could revive only their own kind, rule an empty galaxy, or they could bring back those who had tried to destroy them. The debate was short. Humanity chose resurrection for all. 1. By 1, alien worlds returned to life. The Zolonians woke on their rebuilt planet. The Kravarians found themselves alive again. Every species that had united against humanity was restored. When they learned what had happened, the aliens were terrified. Humans had killed them all, then brought them back. The ultimate display of power. But humanity didn't seek revenge or dominance. Instead, they shared the Genesis technology. They helped rebuild civilizations. They offered friendship to former enemies. Why? Asked the Hive Queen when her species was restored. We tried to destroy you. Because we learned something, Jack replied. Power isn't about what you can destroy. It's about what you can create. The Ancient Ones were the last to return. Zara appeared before Jack, its silver face showing something like shame. You had every right to leave us dead, the being said. Maybe, Jack agreed, but rights and wisdom aren't the same thing. A new galactic order emerged, not based on fear or strength, but on the understanding that all life was precious. Humanity, once feared as destroyers, became known as the Restorers. The Worldbreaker ships were renamed. The retribution became the renaissance, the vengeance became the renewal. Weapons of death transformed into tools of life. Jack, now ancient but somehow still young, stood on the bridge of the Renaissance for the last time. His crew had chosen to step down, to let a new generation lead. "Any regrets?" Amy asked, joining him one final time. Jack smiled. "We destroyed a galaxy and rebuilt it better. We showed ultimate power, then chose ultimate mercy. I think we finally became what we were meant to be." As he watched the stars through the view screen, Jack knew the truth. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been their planet killers or the Genesis Protocol. It had been their ability to choose, to destroy or create, to hate or forgive. They had chosen creation. They had chosen forgiveness. And in that choice, they had truly conquered the galaxy, not through fear, but through the one force stronger than any weapon: hope. The sleeping giant had awakened, destroyed everything, then rebuilt it all with gentle hands. The galaxy would never forget humanity's power, but more importantly, it would never forget humanity's mercy. The age of war had ended. The age of restoration had begun, and in every corner of the galaxy, beings of all species looked to the stars and knew one truth: humanity's greatest strength was not in ending worlds, but in giving them back.